Okay, let's unpack this. We are jumping into a deep dive based on sources that present, well, a truly radical claim
Hmm.
that the most essential knowledge about how the universe works, how we actually create reality, it's not just forgotten, it's actively suppressed.
Yeah, that's the core argument.
So the goal of this deep dive is really to shortcut you, the listener, to this so-called most deeply hidden information.
And the source material argues pretty strongly that there's a fundamental power differential in society.
Okay.
And it's maintained by those who understand these operating instructions of the universe.
Yeah.
They call them dark occultists. And, well, those who don't.
So knowing these laws, especially the universal moral laws,
Yeah.
that changes everything.
That's the idea. It shifts the whole game.
You know, I find it fascinating how the word occult itself gets redefined here. We're not talking about seances or spooky stuff.
Not at all. The source defines the occult simply as a body of science. Hidden knowledge, basically.
Hidden knowledge about what, specifically?
About the workings of the human psyche, first off. And also the laws of nature. Both the ones we see and the ones we don't.
Right, like we all get the seen laws, physics, gravity, motion, that kind of thing.
Exactly. But the occult, as defined here, focuses just as much on the unseen laws,
Which are?
the spiritual and moral laws,
Yeah.
the ones that govern the consequences of our behavior. These are presented as, like, fixed, deterministic rules for consciousness.
Okay, so if you want to grasp this whole system, the source breaks knowledge down into two essential sciences, or two arcana, they call it.
That's right.
What's the starting point, then, for anyone trying to gain this mastery?
Well, the foundation is the minor knowledge, or the minor arcana.
Minor meaning?
Less important.
No, not less important, more like foundational. It's purely knowledge of oneself, the internal study.
Ah, okay. Exploring your own psyche, subconscious, emotions, motivations, all that internal stuff.
Exactly. On the individual scale, the argument is you must master the self before you can really understand or influence the external world, which then naturally leads to the major knowledge or major arcana.
Right. That's the bigger picture, the macrocosmic view.
So understanding the larger systems, external stuff.
Yeah, including physical laws, sure, but much more critically, natural law.
Natural law. Okay, define that in this context.
Here, it's the system of universal moral principles, the ones that determine the fixed outcomes of our conscious actions. Think of it like the moral operating system of reality.
Wow, okay, so the source is basically saying that combining deep self-knowledge and a clear grasp of these unchanging moral rules, that's the whole deal. That's occult science.
That's the entirety of it, according to this framework, yes.
So, okay, if having this combined knowledge is the path to empowerment,
Yeah,
then the strategy for control must be about stopping people from getting that holistic view.
precisely.
And the sources outline two main ways this happens. Two core strategies of suppression called the schisms.
Yes, two core imbalances they aim to keep going in the population.
What's the first one designed to prevent?
It's designed to prevent the unified, balanced use of our own consciousness. It's called the mental schism. Basically, chronic imbalanced thought,
Meaning?
keeping people locked primarily into one mode. Either the super analytical, kind of rigid, masculine left brain,
Okay.
or the very intuitive, sometimes passive, feminine right brain. The goal is to stop people from bridging those two, from using both together holistically.
And the consequences of getting stuck in just one, they sound pretty extreme in the source material.
They are. The overly left-brain person, they become hyper-skeptical, they reject objective truth, any kind of fixed moral structure.
Which leads to?
Moral relativism, social Darwinism, even justifying things like authoritarianism, because, hey, might makes right if there's no inherent right.
And the other side, the overly right-brain dominant person.
They can fall into naive, blind belief, maybe religious extremism, maybe some forms of New Age extremism where they just accept everything without critical thinking. They often end up feeling unworthy, exhibiting what the source calls slave think, basically just following orders because they don't trust their own ability to find truth.
And the schism works because these two groups just end up fighting each other.
Exactly. They spend all their energy arguing, never integrating. They neutralize each other effectively.
That makes a scary amount of sense. Okay, what about the second schism? The worldview schism.
So that one is about preventing people from grasping the true balance between randomness and determination in life.
How does that work?
Well, one side is pushed towards the randomness view. You know, the universe is just an accident. There's no real purpose, no spiritual laws. So consequences are basically arbitrary, do whatever.
Okay, nihilism, essentially.
Pretty much. And the other side is pushed towards the deterministic view.
Wow.
Everything is already decided by some higher power, so human free will is just an illusion.
Ah, so why bother?
Right. It's equally debilitating.
Yeah.
People either excuse bad behavior, oh, it's destined, or they think taking positive action is totally meaningless. Why try to change anything? It's all fixed anyway.
But the source says the truth isn't either of those extremes.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is the framework argues the truth lies smack in the middle. It's deterministic natural laws plus free will.
So our choices are real, they matter.
Yes, your choices are absolutely real, but the results of those choices are fixed and predictable based on these unchanging moral rules.
Understanding that dynamic, free will operating within fixed rules, that seems crucial.
It is. And it brings us right to the method needed to overcome these schisms and actually start building wisdom. The source calls it the ancient trivium methodology of truth discovery.
The trivium. Okay, I've heard of this in classical education: grammar, logic, rhetoric. How does it apply here?
It's presented as a four-step framework. Very similar structure: input, processing, output, result. Step one is knowledge. That's the grammar or input stage.
So just gathering information, raw data.
Exactly. Gathering all the available information, the seemingly disparate facts, before you judge it or decide what it means, just taking it in.
And the source has a really sharp take on the lack of knowledge here, doesn't it? It defines ignorance specifically.
It does. Ignorance isn't just not knowing, it's the willful refusal of truth that is available.
So different from just being unaware because the info wasn't there.
Right. Nescience is not knowing because you couldn't know. Ignorance, in this context, is choosing not to know, often through distraction or avoidance, even when the truth is accessible.
Okay, so if you refuse the input, you're stuck in ignorance. But if you do invest in gathering knowledge,
Then you can move to level 2, understanding. This is the logic or processing stage.
making sense of the data.
Yeah, it's the internal filtering, organizing, decision-making based on the knowledge you gathered. You use logic to see how the pieces fit, identify contradictions.
And if you don't have that understanding because you started with ignorance,
The result is confusion. You lack a coherent framework. You can't process reality effectively because you refused the necessary input. Internal chaos.
okay, knowledge leads to understanding. What's level 3?
Level 3 moves into action. Wisdom. This is the rhetoric or output stage.
So acting on what you now understand.
Precisely. Taking meaningful, principled action based upon that processed understanding. It's about applying what you've learned correctly.
And the lack of wisdom. If you understand something but don't act on it.
That's defined simply as folly. Knowing better, but not doing better.
And finally, level 4.
Level 4 is the outcome. Manifested reality. This isn't something you do, it's the results you get.
State of the world around us.
Exactly. It's the aggregate condition experienced by society. The conditions we live in are the direct result of the collective quality of behavior, which flows from our collective wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, or lack thereof. It's a closed feedback loop.
Wow. Okay, so to make that loop work positively, the source emphasizes investing specific resources, right? What are these key spiritual currencies it talks about?
Time and attention. Those are presented as the only truly valuable currencies we have in this context.
Time and attention. How so?
Well, when you consciously focus your attention on information and activities that genuinely improve yourself and, by extension, the human condition, the return is high.
High in what way?
Insight, awareness, knowledge, empowerment, what the source calls true spiritual vision, you get back valuable internal resources.
And the flip side, spending time and attention on, well, junk?
Yeah, spending it on nonsense, trivialities, endless entertainment, constant distraction. The source says it yields very low or even negative returns. It depletes you, keeps you ignorant.
So the idea is that our collective investment of this time and attention, it literally shapes our shared reality.
That's the concept of co-creation presented here. It directly challenges the sort of simplistic, individualistic law of attraction idea some people have.
How so? It's not just about me thinking positive thoughts and getting a parking spot.
Not according to this. It argues that reality is co-created collectively as a species. It's shaped by the aggregate knowledge, understanding, and crucially, the actions of large groups of people.
So if we as a collective spend our attention fueling conflict or refuse knowledge en masse,
Then the resulting reality tends towards chaos and control for everyone, regardless of what one positive thinking individual might be trying to manifest in their little bubble. Our collective choices create the overall weather system, so to speak.
okay, that leads perfectly into the actual blueprint, how this collective reality manifests specific consequences. The source lays out 5 distinct expressions of natural law. like a step-by-step process.
Exactly. It maps out the chain of cause and effect. And crucially, each step has both a positive and a negative polarity. It starts with the generative polarity, the initial choice of energy.
Okay, what's the positive initial choice?
Love. But defined very specifically here, not just romance. It's the expansive, outward-moving force. The energy that opens consciousness, makes us receptive to truth, willing to take responsibility.
An openness, essentially. And the negative.
Fear.
Yeah.
Naturally, it's the opposite, the contractive force. It shuts down awareness, forces consciousness into a smaller and smaller box. It's the foundation for unconsciousness, for refusing to see or act. Fear is presented as the primary block.
Got it. Love expands, fear contracts. That initial choice then generates the second expression.
Yes, the initiating expression. This is about the acceptance or refusal of truth itself.
So if we start from love, from that openness.
The positive result is knowledge, accepting truth when you encounter it. This forms the necessary foundation for making better decisions down the line.
And if we start from fear?
The negative result is ignorance. Remember, the willful refusal of truth. The source is really clear. This refusal directly prevents us from having the facts needed to achieve the conditions we actually desire.
Okay, so love knowledge, fear ignorance. Then we move inward. Step 3.
Step 3 is the internal expression. What happens inside us based on that acceptance or refusal of truth?
If we've accepted knowledge.
The positive internal outcome is sovereignty. This is described really interestingly as an internal monarchy, unifying your thoughts, emotions, and actions. No internal contradiction. Self-governance, self-mastery. The source insists every person is inherently a sovereign. They just need to realize and embody it.
But if we allowed ignorance to take root instead, starting from fear,
Then the negative internal state is confusion. This is internal anarchy. Your thoughts, emotions, actions are all over the place, often contradicting each other. No self-mastery, no self-control. Genuine, aligned action becomes almost impossible.
sovereignty versus confusion. Okay, that makes sense internally. What about externally? Step 4.
Step 4 is the external expression. This is what manifests in society based on the dominant internal state of the population.
So if enough individuals achieve that internal sovereignty.
The positive external manifestation is freedom, and this is defined radically.
Yeah.
True freedom is presented as external anarchy.
Anarchy, like chaos.
No, not chaos in the negative sense. Anarchy literally means no rulers. The complete absence of external masters, of slavery. This positive state, the source argues, can only manifest when individuals are internally sovereign and collectively accept truth.
And the alternative, resulting from collective confusion and ignorance.
The negative polarity.
Hmm.
Control. Externally imposed control. Whether that's through authoritarian government, oppressive social pressure, rigid dogma, any form of external rulership. The source explicitly calls control the pathway to basically all forms of destruction and evil.
Wow. Freedom versus control, that leads to the final step, right? Number 5.
Number 5 is the final manifestation, the ultimate experience result of the entire chain.
The positive outcome, flowing from love, knowledge, sovereignty, freedom.
Is order. But again,
Yeah.
defined specifically, manifested goodness, balance, true justice, a state of cooperative spiritual anarchy, where sovereign individuals interact harmoniously without needing rulers.
And the negative final manifestation, from fear, ignorance, confusion, control.
Is chaos, manifested evil, imbalance, injustice, suffering, societal breakdown, the inevitable result, according to this law, of ignorance and opposition to natural law.
So the critical insight here, the source really hammers this home, is that the path is unilateral. You can't mix and match.
That's the assertion. You can only achieve genuine order through the positive path. Love, sovereignty, freedom, order. And likewise, you inevitably create chaos through the negative path. Fear, ignorance, confusion, control, chaos. The polarities don't cross.
You can't build freedom on a foundation of ignorance. You can't get true order through control.
Correct. It's presented as an absolute fixed law of creation, like gravity, but for consciousness.
It really creates a powerful synthesis, doesn't it? It brings everything back to that first step, almost. The necessity of acquiring knowledge. That seems to be the linchpin connecting the initial choice, love or fear, to the final outcome.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, the source points out that the ancient Romans used the same word, libra, for both free, as in not a slave in book.
Huh. Libra, like liberty and library.
Exactly. A pretty striking linguistic link suggesting they saw a deep connection between knowledge, reading, and freedom.
It collapses the whole framework back onto personal responsibility, really.
Hmm.
And the quality of your attention. Where are you investing it?
Invest attention, gain knowledge, use that knowledge to achieve internal self-mastery, sovereignty. And that eventually creates the external conditions for freedom and genuine societal order.
Yeah, that idea you mentioned, that freedom and ignorance are antitheses of each other that can never coexist simultaneously, that feels like the core takeaway,
It's incredibly potent. And it leads to a pretty challenging final thought.
which is,
Well, if the key knowledge is actually readily available today, maybe not truly hidden anymore, just buried under mountains of distraction and triviality, then the fundamental question for you, the listener, becomes twofold.
okay.
First, what specific investment of your precious time and attention are you truly willing to commit to move yourself from ignorance towards wisdom? And second, perhaps even harder, what level of courage does it take to actually act on that knowledge once you have it?